Thank you, Emma. I will now pass us on to our next panellist, who will be Ben Charnaud. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much for asking me to talk today and listen to what's going on. I was absolutely fascinated to see this whole movement happening. And I was really interested just listening to the other two speakers and what they said and how much truth there was in it. I loved your comment about the fractured femur. I had forgotten about that story, and I remember that from many, many years ago when I was studying and ethology, and it's a very moving story, but it also says something about us now, about how we do need to care for other to be cared for ourselves. And I think it is really important. My interest in this is that I've worked for the NHS and other organizations, but I've been working in this field for the last 48 years. And I've seen a huge amount of changes in the way we work with people over the last 48 years. And I think we're coming to a time now where we do accept people's individuality and importance as individuals more. Certainly when I first started, everybody was a diagnosis. We worked with diagnoses and labeling in medicine. And very gradually, we've begun to understand the uniqueness of everybody. My own particular interest in the last 10 years has been working with trauma. And I'm particularly interested in the fact that linking that in with understanding the very little we understand of the brain, but the understanding that we've managed to develop in the last 10, 20 years, particularly the importance of that is international collaboration. I learn my stuff from Italians, from Canadians, from Americans. It isn't a local thing. This wisdom is the world's wisdom. And one of the things that I've learned is that the human brain is, as somebody put it so delightfully, it's a wonderful bit of kit, but nobody gave an instruction manual for it. So we don't quite know how to manage it. And the effect of trauma, which in a way, this is behind what we're talking about, is the trauma that's happening now. The effect of trauma is really important on the brain because the middle bit of the brain, if you like, if you think about it for a start, we've got 3 or 4 different brains and they're not very well connected and they all do different things. And the conscious bit of ourselves is only really a little bit on the top of it. The rest of the brain is quite busy, totally integrated with the body. And one of the other things is the old Descartes principle. I think, therefore I am, should be, I feel myself, therefore I am. In the French, it's better, but I won't try and do a French accent on this. But if we start to look upon how thinking is just not the answer, we've got to feel as well as think. And but our brain is designed to survive. Therefore, what is the overruling drive in the brain is dealing with threat. And our attachment, all our life experience and our memories are often about threat. If I asked you to recall 10 events in your life, you're much more likely to recall 10 events where you felt vulnerable or threatened or something awful happened to you than 10 events when you felt really happy. Coming back to the previous speakers, you're saying it's actually we have to learn to consolidate our happiness rather than, and to consolidate that sharing. And it is through that sharing and that being together that we do. There's a wonderful piece of philosophy from Nelson Mandela, which I like. And I'll apologize for my pronunciation of it because I'm very bad at languages. But he talks about the philosophy of Ubuntu. And Ubuntu acknowledges both the right and the responsibilities of every citizen in promoting individual and society well-being. Your existence is my existence, and we are inextricably linked as human beings. And that is when you started getting fractured femurs to heal, when we started to accept that link. And that is one of the things that is probably one of the attributes of humanity. And while we're on to quotes, there's another quote I'd like to also talk about, mention, which my favorite piece of Shakespeare, which is Portia's speech in The Merchant of Venice, and I'll just cut it down briefly, but it's about mercy seasons justice. And it said, sorry, I'm just looking at my quote because I don't want to try and remember it. But mercy is above this sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. An earthly power then showeth like God's when mercy seasons justice. And mercy seasons justice, I think, is really important in medicine as well. We can get the answer right. We can get the diagnosis right. We can have the treatment right. We can do the right things. But without mercy, without kindness, without that healing power of accepting other people. And another saying I have, which again, it's using an old language, but it's about saying one's duty is to bear witness to other, to say, I accept you. I will work with you and I accept you, whoever you are. And that's a hard thing to do. And I certainly, over my years, have found it difficult to accept some people, but accepting other. And remember, the most deepest thing we want to as human beings is really just to be accepted and for other people to like us, to love us. But yet our fear of threat is such that if I expose myself, they're not going to like me. If they know this about me, they're not going to like me. If they see me without my defenses up, nobody's going to like me. So we hide ourselves from other. And it's only through others' kindness can we begin to let ourselves hide less and begin to heal from our hurts, because all of us are traumatized. And I think trauma lies behind most mental illnesses. And I think, you can have all the medical models and they're all valid, but in fact, trauma and our fear and our defenses against threat are some of our deepest vulnerabilities. And if we're moving away, as Adam talks about, from learning from this experience, where society, we are probably more traumatized now than we have been for many generations. Not generations, sorry, for our lifetime. But in my lifetime, I can't remember a national trauma like this. And if we can move on from it, we can begin to realize the importance of kindness in every sense of the word. And kindness is accepting other and working with other. One doesn't have to value judge it. That is the justice side. Yes, we have to make judgments, but in accepting other, we don't have to value judge it. Therefore, I probably would like to finish, because I'm not very good at these speaking to screens. I tend to wave my arms when I'm talking and trying to engage with it. But I think if we can work with truth and kindness, and with the knowledge we have, and use our knowledge not to empower ourselves, but just to create curiosity and understanding. And that's the other thing what I just love is curiosity. Curiosity is not about evaluating what's right and wrong. Curiosity is about getting to that social space, that space inside ourselves. We can actually ask why, and then we can begin to reflect on how. I think that's probably my lot on that one.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Ben. And some beautiful concepts you've woven into the last few minutes. And also touching on, there was, I think, a comment earlier about what are the barriers to kindness. And I think there are, as well as being able to do kindness, we can also get in our own way, whether it's through fear or other things. But the power of curiosity for breaking through those things is striking. So thank you very much for those thoughts.